The Silva Method. Discover the inner secrets to control your mind. Learn how to use your intuition regularly and reliably to achieve your success. Written by Anna Silva. Narrated by Frank Becker and Dan Murray.
Introduction. The greatest discovery you'll ever make is the potential of your own mind. Jose Silva. In this book, you will learn how to use your mind power to program yourself for the kind of success that you deserve. It doesn't matter what kind of problems you have now, or may have had in the past. You will learn how to convert fear into courage, and convert doubt into action, to dissolve problems by manifesting solutions, and develop a charisma that radiates out and influences everyone and everything in your life. Everybody has problems. There's no shortage of books and courses that tell you how to solve your problems. Why so many? Because most of them don't work very well. You don't solve a problem by trying to solve the problem. Solving the problem is the problem. Trying to work your way through the problem is like trying to push a strand of cooked spaghetti from the rear. It just gets tangled up into a big sticky mess. The way to overcome a problem is to leapfrog over the problem, set your sights beyond it, and concentrate on a solution. Take money, for instance. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills, that's a problem. And every time you think about how you can get enough money to pay your bills, you are thinking about the problem. Mind guides brain, and brain guides body. So, guess what you are reinforcing? When you leapfrog over the problem and start thinking about what you can do that has value to someone, then you are doing something that will lead you to the solution. You do it without working on the problem. You work on the solution. Unleash your hidden mind power. Jose Silva Jr.'s 30-day plan shows you how to use the untapped power of your mind to banish irrational fears and phobias, and overcome childhood traumas and negative belief systems. It will enable you to develop charisma and confidence, and learn to use your mind to become a powerful, persuasive, and effective communicator. You will be able to influence the people and events in your life in a positive way, not only by what you say and do, but also with your personal power. This book is filled with examples and step-by-step guidance to help you solve many of the most common problems that we encounter, with finances, family, relationships, and health. It will give you the ability to achieve the things that you know deep within yourself that you are capable of achieving. Discover how your hidden mind power can give you confidence and make you a persuasive, effective, compelling communicator. Your power to persuade can help you get the job of your dreams. Your confidence and charisma can attract your ideal mate to find you and want to be with you forever. You will have the ability to make a good first impression. As a parent, you can use your hidden persuasive powers to guide and protect your children from infancy through childhood and the teenage years and into adulthood. All great leaders have been able to communicate their vision by the power of their presence. You can do even more than inspire people with your confidence. You can instill your confidence in them, and by doing that, you will magnify its effectiveness many times over. Develop confidence and charisma. Have you ever wondered why some people seem bigger than life? Their physical bodies might even be small, but they somehow seem to occupy more space and have greater impact and influence than most people. They don't influence others by pushing their ideas at them. They get out in front and project ideas and solutions that inspire us. Their shared ideals become our own ideals because these leaders have the ability to project mentally to where we are and influence us. In this book, we will reveal what our scientific research has discovered about how leaders are able to motivate us so much more effectively than the average person can. More importantly, we will show you how to do what they do. If you're ready to overcome irrational fears and self-doubt and old limiting beliefs and replace them with confidence and charisma and genuine optimism that will produce a powerful and positive influence on the people and circumstances in your life, now is the time to do it. What to expect during the next 30 days. There are 15 lessons in this book, with 2 days to practice each lesson. Just do the lessons in order and follow the instructions, and you will succeed. Here is what you can expect when you follow the simple step-by-step instructions. Week 1. As you practice entering the alpha brainwave level by practicing the Silva centering exercise, you will feel more relaxed and less tense, more energetic, optimistic, and hopeful. Notice how this affects you. You will find it easier to get up in the morning and greet the new day. Your work will go a little more smoothly because you are more relaxed and optimistic, and because you're beginning to take advantage of the powerful alpha levels, where there is more information you can use to help you make better decisions. And you will find it easier to fall asleep at night. In Chapter 2, you will learn the truth about positive thinking and why much of what people say about it is wrong. We provide specific guidance to help you keep your thoughts positive, and we'll show you how to convert negative thoughts into positive ones. As you begin to use more positive words and ideas when you communicate with people, they will respond better to you, because you will be projecting a more relaxed and optimistic attitude that will make them feel good about you and about themselves. This new attitude will help you get more things accomplished, because you will feel better, and people around you will also feel better. This will be beneficial in your work, your family, and your social life. In Chapter 3, you will go far beyond the use of positive words and phrases and begin to communicate with yourself and with others using the universal language that everybody understands: visualization and imagination. You will be amazed at how much easier it is to understand what other people are saying, and how much easier it is to communicate your ideas clearly to others when you incorporate conscious visualization and imagination into your thinking and your communication with others. In Chapter 4, you will learn specific techniques for incorporating your positive thinking, as well as your visualization and imagination, in order to program yourself for success. You will also discover what Jose Silva learned in his 22 years of scientific research about the secret thought process that all truly successful people use. Week 2. In Chapter 5, you will learn how to overcome fears and phobias, relieve guilt, banish doubt, and change them to courage, self-esteem, and self-confidence. You will learn how to neutralize negative past traumas and old limiting belief systems. You will learn how to eliminate fears and phobias, such as the fear of public speaking, fear of failure, fear of success, and learn to welcome new challenges with the confidence that you can handle them and use them to help you succeed. Chapter 6 will take a look at how to use your inner conscious level to help heal the wounded child within. We will approach the problem from several different directions at once in order to bring about a solution. Chapter 7 will guide you with special techniques for stopping bad habits that are inhibiting you and starting good new habits that will help to automatically propel you to greater achievements. Chapter 8 discusses how to program to overcome health problems and to help you maintain a perfectly healthy body. This will ensure that you will have the energy to do whatever you need to do to fulfill your special mission in life. When you remove these impediments to your success, you will notice that you feel better about yourself. Your work will benefit, people will respond to you in a more positive way, and you will accomplish more than before. Week 3. In Chapter 9, you will learn a special technique that Jose Silva developed shortly before his passing after more than 50 years of scientific research and experience in the mind training field. This is a scientific way to communicate reliably and regularly with higher intelligence in order to obtain guidance and support for solving problems and improving living conditions on planet Earth. In Chapter 10, you will learn the 5 laws of programming that Jose Silva developed using his scientific research about successful people and how they differ from average people. You can have the full power of higher intelligence working for you, provided that you are doing what this higher power wants you to do. The laws of programming will help you to continue moving in the right direction. You will learn how to incorporate these 5 laws into your life immediately in order to bring you benefits and advantages that you desire in all areas of your life. Chapter 11 takes a scientific look at faith. It also describes specific techniques to help you increase your desire and motivation to achieve, your belief in yourself, and your expectation to succeed. Those are the 3 elements of faith: desire, belief, and expectation. You will learn what Jose Silva discovered when he applied his scientific approach to the subject of faith. Using these techniques will supercharge your programming and help you achieve greater success faster than before. Week 4. During the previous 3 weeks, you will have practiced using your mind the way ultra-successful people do. You will have begun neutralizing impediments to your success, and you will now know how to use visualization and imagination in order to help you solve problems and improve living conditions on the planet. Now, we will turn our attention to advanced techniques and specialized applications of your newly learned skills. In Chapter 12, you will learn how to use your aura to help you detect information and to communicate your thoughts more effectively and persuasively. Everybody knows about the so-called 5 physical senses. We now know that there are more than 5. Have you ever stared at somebody, at the back of their head perhaps, and found that eventually they turn and look at you? Or perhaps you are the one who was stared at and you detected it. That happens with the physical part of your aura. Your body radiates energy, both physical and non-physical energy. When you know what to do, you can use the physical part of your aura to influence people who are in the vicinity. They might also be influencing you, whether they know it or not. Have you ever started to feel nervous and not know why? It could be that you are detecting someone else's mood through aura transmission. It's easy to control what you transmit and what you receive through the aura once you understand how it works and know what to do. This ability can help you make a good first impression, improve your relationships, and even help you detect what other people are thinking and feeling. It is not just humans who are affected by the radiation of your aura. Everything in the vicinity is impressed with information that is transmitted automatically by your aura. There are many ways in which this can be beneficial to you. Chapter 13 is about what is probably your most important relationship with your family. Jose and Paula Silva were married for 60 years and had 10 children, so they learned a lot about family relationships. They share their knowledge in this chapter. Chapter 14 continues with more techniques and more ways to use your persuasive thoughts to help you in your business and personal life. Chapter 15 brings it all together in what we call a new way of living. Not using your mind is like not using one of your legs. It puts you at a big disadvantage. That is why we finish with specific guidance about how to easily and naturally incorporate what you have learned into your daily life so you use it automatically, without even having to think about it, the way ultra-successful people do. If you are willing to follow the simple instructions and complete this 30-day program, and then continue to practice what you have learned, you will succeed. How you will benefit. We all have problems, and trying to unravel them and push our way through them usually doesn't work very well. In this book, you will learn how to move past your problems and focus on solutions. We all admire the great communicators and great persuaders and wonder if they have some secret or some special skill. The truth is that 10% of people do use more of their minds than the average person, and use it in a special way. You are just moments away from learning what their secret is, and over the next 30 days you will learn exactly how to use your mind the way ultra-successful people do. If you want to unleash your superpowers and use them to solve more problems and improve living conditions for yourself and others, and if you are willing to practice and to invest as little as 15 minutes a day, you too are just 30 days away from joining the 10% who use their superpowers naturally. In fact, you will be able to do more than the ultra-successful people do because you will know why they are so successful, and you will know exactly how to use your powers. Be ready to claim your rewards. Join the millions of people worldwide who have benefited from Jose Silva's scientifically researched techniques over the last 50 years and use this 30-day plan developed by Jose Silva Jr. to help you think, talk, act, and unleash the superpowers that already reside within you. Once you have completed this 30-day plan to develop your own inner strength, the techniques that you have read about and heard about from super successful people will work for you too, because you will be using your brain and mind the way that they use theirs. Meet the authors. Jose Silva Jr. was the first of Jose and Paula Silva's 10 children. He was there when his father began the scientific research that unlocked the secret of developing intuition and using it regularly and reliably in all aspects of your life. Nobody is more qualified than Joe Jr., as we call him, to teach you how to apply his father's research findings to your business career. Joe was not a research subject. He documented the research that his father conducted with his brothers and sisters, recording the sessions with an old Rogers reel-to-reel tape recorder and filing the data that his father was acquiring. While his younger sisters and brothers were sitting with their eyes closed, following their father's instructions, Joe was observing and recording the whole process, providing him with a unique understanding of how to help the average person develop extraordinary mental powers. When Mr. Silva realized that he needed to establish a business to propagate his findings, he called on his son, Joe, to help manage the new business, something Joe continues to do today. Then, when Mr. Silva started the new Silva Ultramind Systems business 25 years later, at the age of 84, he put Joe in charge. When I first came to work for Silva Mind Control International, Inc. in 1981, Ed Burns Jr. recalled, Joe was among the first to welcome me. Around here, he told me, we don't think of you as an employee. We treat you like family. Catherine Sandusky came to work for Jose Silva in 1990, shortly after graduating from high school. She learned the business and how to use the Silva techniques in her business and personal life. She became the first member of her family to earn a college degree, and she started her own Silva business, Avlis Productions, Inc., which soon grew into a full-time business with representatives in many countries around the world. By the way, if you are wondering where the name Avlis came from, just spell it backwards. In addition to managing the business, Catherine presents the Silva Ultramind ESP system in the United States and internationally, and she mentors Silva students. She is also a full-time mother to her young daughter, Lily. Ed Burns Jr. grew up in the newspaper business. His motto was, "Don't believe anything that you hear and only half of what you see." To say that he was cynical about the reality of ESP would be an understatement. When I actually experienced it for myself and could produce ESP repeatedly, then I couldn't deny it anymore, he said. When I realized how valuable this ability is for individuals, and how much better life would be on this planet if everybody could use their intuition to get whatever they need, without taking from anybody else, without hurting anyone, then I had to get involved. When we reach that point, there will be no more need for crime, no more wars, and life will be good for everyone. In 1977, Ed attended instructor training to learn more, then began teaching the course, and eventually was offered a job at Jose Silva's Laredo headquarters. I couldn't pass up an opportunity like that, he said, and I have been here ever since. Chapter 1. Brain power begins at alpha. My increasing mental faculties are for serving humanity better. Jose Silva. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have a magic touch? They always seem to know the right thing to say. They make good decisions, do the right thing, and seem to move easily from one success to the next. They are not smarter than other people. They don't work any harder than you do, but they are among the 10% of people who use more of their brain and mind than everybody else. They use 2 areas of their brain and 2 dimensions of mind to think with. Imagine what an advantage that is. 9 out of 10 people are able to think with only the beta part of their brain. Approximately 1 person in 10 is able to think with the alpha part of their brain, and then act at the beta level. In this chapter, you're going to learn how to use 2 parts of your brain and 2 dimensions of mind consciously, the same way that ultra-successful people do. Imagine how it would be if most people thought that they could only use 1 leg. If everybody else hopped around on 1 leg while you used 2 legs, you could get around much faster and more easily than they could. That's what it's like when you use 2 brains instead of just 1. That's why some people, the ultra-successful people, seem to have so much more ability than the average person. When you learn how to use the alpha part of your brain to think with and then take action at the beta level, you will be using more of your brain and mind than the average person, and you will have the ability to achieve great success also. You will be able to use the subconscious consciously to remove impediments and overcome negative past programming and achieve even greater success in everything that you do from now on. Millions of people in 103 countries around the world have already benefited from Jose Silva's pioneering research, and now you will too. Research on the effectiveness of the Silva techniques has proven that no matter how much or how little success you've had up until now, you will benefit. Single mothers on welfare benefited. So did executives at RCA Records, and adolescent inner-city students, and alcoholics, and regular people like you and me. But the main question is, what does it take for you to be successful with Jose Silva's system and in life? First, you have to want it. You have to want to be successful. So, let's talk about your reasons for listening to this book. Maybe your reasons are personal, for yourself. Maybe you want to help your family. Maybe you want to advance your career. Maybe you want to improve your health and your recreational activities. Whatever your reason is, think about these 3 questions. 1. What do you want? 2. How will it help you? And 3. Why is that important to you? To increase your desire, think of all the benefits you will derive. Who else will benefit? The more people who will benefit, the more desire you will have to push you toward success. Jose Silva says that we are not here just to live it up. We are not here for a 70-year coffee break. We have a purpose, and that purpose is to solve problems, relieve suffering, and improve living conditions on the planet for ourselves and everyone else, so that when we move on, we will have left behind a better world for those who follow. Your obligation is to be the best that you can be. The best parent, the best spouse, the best brother or sister, the best employee or employer, because when you are, you will be a better problem solver, and more people will benefit. The more people who benefit, even complete strangers, the more desire you will have to carry you towards the success that you know deep within yourself that you are capable of. It's important to focus on your reasons for learning this system and to increase your desire, because then, with every technique, you will be thinking about how it can help you to correct problems and make the world a better place to live. Focusing on your reasons for learning this system is important for another reason too. When you learn to enter deep levels of mind, which you will begin to do in this chapter, when you go deep within yourself, you will be carrying that desire there with you. And that desire, at those deep inner levels, will produce results. Whenever you talk with people, that deep inner desire to help them will express itself, and people in your presence will sense it. It will go far beyond the words you use and your body language. It will include the energy that radiates out from your body. That energy is called an aura. And in Chapter 12, you will learn specific techniques to project your aura and use it to influence people in your presence. The importance of the alpha level. All of our techniques are designed to function at the alpha level. That's why it's so important to practice the Silva centering exercise from time to time to maintain a good, deep alpha level. You need to practice it enough in the beginning so that you can relax physically and mentally and remain relaxed while you do your programming. Practice the Silva centering exercise at least 3 times. Mr. Silva recommended accumulating 10 hours of practice with the Silva centering exercise to ensure that you have established a deep, healthy level of mind to function from. There are many benefits to being able to use the subconscious consciously. In fact, Jose Silva said this was his greatest discovery, a way to use the subconscious consciously, thus converting it to an inner conscious level. What is the alpha level? Your brain operates on a small amount of electricity, just like a computer. It can process and store information, retrieve that information, and use it to make decisions and solve problems. Unlike a computer, however, the brain generates and functions with electricity that does not remain at a fixed frequency. Sometimes, the brain's electric current vibrates rapidly, 20 times per second or more. Other times, it vibrates very slowly, 1 time per second or less. Scientists call these vibrations cycles or hertz, and have divided the brain frequency spectrum into 4 segments based on the number of cycles per second, or CPS. 1. Beta. More than 14 CPS, typically 20 CPS, occurs when your body and mind are active and you focus your eyes. 2. Alpha. 7 to 14 CPS is associated with light sleep and dreaming. 3. Theta, from 4 to 7 CPS, is associated with deeper sleep and with the use of hypnosis for such things as painless surgery. And 4. Delta, below 4 CPS, is associated with deepest sleep. Jose Silva reasoned that the best range to use for mental activity would be the range that has the least impedance and the most energy. Of the 4 frequencies, the alpha frequency has the strongest current and is the most rhythmic. That's why it was the first to be discovered by scientists in the 1920s using the electroencephalograph. They named it the alpha state, after the first letter in the Greek alphabet. Jose Silva reasoned that if it was possible to actively use one's mind to analyze problems and come up with solutions while in the alpha state, it seemed logical that this state would be the ideal one in which to think. Why would the alpha level be ideal? 1. It would allow one to think more clearly because of its extra energy. 2. It would enable one to maintain concentration better. And 3. Alpha is in the absolute center of the brain's normal operating range, so it would allow access to more information more easily. But there was a catch. Research revealed that most people do their thinking at the beta frequency. Jose's research led him to discover that only 10% of the population are natural alpha thinkers. It turned out that he himself was one of them. Most people are using the weakest, least stable frequency to do their thinking, the beta level. Most people, when their brain frequency slows to alpha, enter the subconscious state, then fall asleep. But the superstars stay awake at the alpha level and do their thinking at alpha. The alpha level can help keep you healthy. Entering the alpha level for 15 minutes once a day will strengthen your immune mechanism and help to keep you healthy. At the alpha level, you can learn to overcome all kinds of problems, such as insomnia, tension, migraine headaches, bad habits, and much more. And you can program to achieve what you want to achieve and make your dreams come true. Here is some information that Jose Silva presented in classes about the alpha level. The centering exercise has to be done to find those deep dimensions where all of these things work. With no deepening, this would never work. It has to be programmed at deep levels for it to work. You have to have that to establish a foundation, to make it work, to make everything work. It is the standard, the proper depth to make it work. You cannot learn to do it simply by reading about it. You have to take action to do it in order to learn to enter the alpha dimension. This is where the Silva centering exercise comes in. That has to work before you can make the techniques work. Every time you practice, you will enter a level deeper than the prior one. We keep doing that until we reach the ideal level, where everything works. Once you do that, you can activate your mind there, and you've got it made. You can program yourself with the formulas we provide to you, so that you can solve any kind of problem. From there on, when you need to solve a problem, you go to 10 cycles alpha automatically. You have to get to the right dimension to accomplish all of the things that can be done there. When you practice the Silva centering exercise, you don't need to remain in a fixed position of your body, as you do in yoga. Any position that you feel comfortable in is good enough. You can cross your legs or uncross them. You can scratch yourself, cough, whatever. Just don't open your eyes. Now, if you feel forced to open your eyes because you feel uncomfortable keeping them closed, then don't force yourself. Open your eyes. No problem. But usually when you open your eyes, you break the level that you are going into, and you have to start over again. But regardless, if you have to open your eyes, then go ahead and do so. Then start over again at the beginning of the exercise. We are going to give you 4 ways to learn our system without attending a class. 1. Use daily countdown deepening exercises. 2. Memorize the Silva centering exercise. 3. Record the Silva centering exercise and play it back to yourself. And 4. Have someone read the Silva centering exercise to you. You can team up with a partner and help each other learn. If you use a recording of the Silva centering exercise, please be sure to use one with Jose Silva's original wording, his original phrases, not one of the modified versions that were changed by somebody else after his passing. The original Silva Basic Lecture Series and his Ultramind ESP system will have the original version. Relaxation leads to alpha. The Silva system is not book learning. It is subjective experiencing. It's just like learning any other skill. You must practice to develop expertise and gain the confidence that will let you excel. When you become passive and relaxed physically and mentally, your brain frequency slows down. This happens when you go to sleep at night. It happens when you are relaxed and daydreaming. But if you haven't learned to stay at alpha when you activate your mind, then your brain frequency will increase whenever you become mentally or physically active. After you learn to enter the alpha level, then you can learn to activate your mind and remain at the alpha level by practicing a series of mental calisthenics that Jose Silva developed during his 22 years of scientific research. He was the first scientist to discover how to do this, and his groundbreaking research was published in the medical journal Neuropsychology in 1972. The fastest and easiest way to learn is to have someone guide you to relax, and then to practice the mental calisthenics. There are several ways to do this without attending a live seminar. You can go to the website, silvanow.com, and stream or download a recording of the Silva centering exercise. You can also be your own instructor by recording the Silva centering exercises and other conditioning cycles. You can talk to a recorder as if it were you. You can give yourself instructions to close your eyes and take a deep breath. You can instruct yourself to relax all the parts of your body. You can tell yourself to picture tranquil and passive scenes to induce a relaxed mind. To get started now, there is a complete script of the Silva centering exercise in Appendix A of this book. You can follow the instructions and make your own recording in your own voice, or you can ask someone else to record it for you. If you are learning the Silva system along with someone else, you can take turns reading to each other. The other person can watch you and pace themselves depending on how quickly you relax, and you can do the same for them. If none of those approaches are practical for you, then you can go to Appendix A and follow the instructions there in order to memorize the basic steps that we use in the Silva centering exercise. Then, close your eyes and do it for yourself. Jose Silva's brother, Juan, always believed that it is better to do it yourself than to have somebody else guiding you. If you find yourself making an effort to recall the instructions, and therefore are not relaxing completely, then you can use the morning countdown system in Appendix B. Jose Silva recommended that when you learn on your own, you should accumulate a total of 10 hours of practice with the Silva centering exercise in order to be confident of your ability to function at the alpha level. All of our techniques are designed to work at the alpha level. However, once you learn, you will not need to go through the centering exercise to get to alpha. The more you practice, the easier it will be to do it. Once you learn the exercise, the sequence, and what to do and how to do it, then practice on your own, without a recording or another person to guide you. If somebody else takes you to the alpha level, then, while you are listening to them, you might not be totally involved. When you have enough desire to do it yourself, you will receive great benefits. If you have that desire, then use it. When you achieve the state of deep relaxation, physically and mentally, you can be assured that you are at a very deep level of mind. Tips. After you have completed the training, then you can maintain your ability by using what you have learned to solve problems. We recommend that you go to the alpha level at least once a day, for 5 minutes. Twice a day is better. 3 times a day is excellent. To practice for 5 minutes each time is good. 10 minutes is better. 15 minutes is excellent. Now, when you are ready to begin, choose the method that is best for you, and either use the recording on the silvanow.com website, or go to Appendix A or B and follow the instructions. Chapter 2. Positive Thinking and Speaking. Positive thoughts bring me benefits and advantages I desire. Jose Silva. Words have meanings. And the more times we hear them or think them, the more likely they are to influence us. It's what some people call a self-fulfilling prophecy. The words and thoughts make impressions on our brain neurons, and when they have been impressed on enough brain neurons, those ideas become part of our reality. This can help us, or hurt us. A Silva graduate named Steve Sellers, a radio announcer at a radio station in San Antonio, Texas, demonstrated how powerful our words can be. We project a positive image to our listeners by eliminating the negatives, Sellers explained. Other stations' meteorologists announce a partly cloudy day. On our station, that same day is partly sunny. Within 30 days of starting this approach, the station, which for years had been the overlooked stepchild of the broadcasting chain, turned into a viable force in the San Antonio radio market. Hector Chacon, a high school basketball coach in Laredo, Texas, found that one simple change in the way he coached his players turned a losing season around. When we stop focusing on the end result that we desire and start thinking instead about mistakes, we are likely to make more mistakes, he explained. That's what he was doing. His team would build up a lead in the first half. At halftime, he would focus on the errors in an attempt to correct them. He'd confront the players with their mistakes and challenge them to correct them. All the mental pictures were negative. Pictures of the problem. They would blow the lead and lose the game. After the first 5 conference games, they were 1-4. Then the coach changed his way of talking to his players. I called on a friend of mine who had learned the Silva system and asked if he had any ideas that could help me, Coach Chacon said. He spent 20 minutes on the phone with me explaining the principles of positive thinking. He followed the advice. In that night's game, I still pointed out the mistakes, he said, but after that, I made sure that I told the players exactly what I wanted them to do, and I took it one step further. I reminded each player of a successful play he had made and told them to do it like that again. The results? The first time out with this simple technique, they beat a team that had beaten them a few weeks earlier. They beat them by a score of 80-47. In their final 9 conference games, after that one simple change in Coach Chacon's approach, they had an 8-1 record. How words can hurt you. Can your words really hurt you? A 55-year-old man who attended the Silva training in Albuquerque, New Mexico, had a perfect example of how this happens after reflecting on his language for a while. For years I've used the phrases, I can't see that, it's a pain in the neck, and it's a pain in the... Well, I won't finish the phrase, but let me explain. I wear glasses. I have headaches in the back of my head, and I have hemorrhoids. That got a laugh from the other members of the seminar, but when a person has suffered with those problems for several decades, it's no joke. Here is what to do when you notice that you are using negative words and phrases. Stop and cancel out the negative words by saying, cancel, cancel. Then, replace the negative words with positive words. A secret way to protect yourself from negativity. Sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where you cannot say cancel, cancel. For instance, what do you do if your sales manager or customer says something negative to you? If you tell them cancel, cancel, they might just cancel, cancel you. Instead of that, just give them a big 0. In a computer, the program uses either a 0 or a 1. That is, the circuit is either open or closed. When it's open, nothing gets through. So, give the negative words a big 0 by saying, oh. For example, you really fouled up this time. Oh? Well, what can I do to make it right? By doing that, you are canceling out the negative thought and replacing it with a positive thought. These techniques work. Listen to what a big New Jersey pharmaceutical manufacturing firm had to say after learning the Silva techniques. Cancel, cancel, and better are new phrases being spoken at our company after 150 employees participated in the Silva training. For over 150 employees, the phrase better and better is synonymous with a new way of thinking, a philosophy of one's own inner consciousness, and a different attitude about life, work, and other people. A company merchandising director said, "Even though I went into the course with a certain amount of show-me attitude, I have to admit that I thoroughly enjoyed the program. It gave me a new sense of awareness about myself and the importance of working with fellow employees." He continued, "I am applying what I learned by trying to develop the ability to channel my interests and accomplishments so there is less wasted time and motion. The concept certainly makes you stop and think." Be kind to yourself. It takes time to learn any new skill, and positive thinking is a new skill. We have been programmed, biologically, and by our parents and teachers, to watch out for trouble. This helps us to survive in the physical world because there are many things in the world that have the potential to harm us. Therefore, you might notice that you are using quite a few negative words during the day. Some people become depressed when they discover this. They beat themselves up mentally and verbally. "Wow, am I negative? I can't even pass the first part of this course." We'd suggest a different approach. Instead of looking at the downside, how many negative things you might be saying, look at the good side. Or as somebody once put it, look for the good and praise it. Now what, you might ask, can be good about realizing that you are saying so many negative things? The fact that you noticed it is good. Now that you are aware, you can take steps to change. Once you begin to think and talk about the things you want rather than the things you don't want, you have opened a big door to success. Evaluate your progress. You might be surprised just how much this one simple exercise, mental house cleaning, can help you. To get an idea of how much this can benefit you, do this. Notice during the day how people respond to you as you use positive words and phrases instead of negative ones. At night, when you are ready to go to sleep, notice whether you feel better than you normally do, and if you go to sleep easier and faster than before. In the morning, when it's time to get up, notice whether you find it a little easier to get up and face the new day with its challenges and opportunities. Prosperity programming. From time to time, people ask us to include statements about prosperity and abundance in the Silva conditioning cycles. They see the various prosperity books and tapes and courses on the market, with affirmations like, "I love money. Money is attracted to me like a magnet. I deserve to be prosperous," and so forth. Why don't we add affirmations like that to the Silva conditioning cycles, they ask us. People also ask us to add affirmations about self-esteem and self-confidence. They suggest affirmations such as, "I love myself. I am worthy of love. I am capable of handling any situation," and on and on. There are two reasons why Jose Silva chose not to include statements like this. First, they don't work. In fact, statements like these usually do more harm than good. Second, the Silva centering exercise already includes statements that, when followed, will make you prosperous and confident, and give you everything you need in life, and more. Formula for Success. Jose Silva included a formula for success in the Silva centering exercise. This formula is included in every Silva course, and in many of our audio recordings. It's a simple formula, deceptively simple. In fact, many people overlook it. and never realize how powerful it is. The formula is found just before the centering exercise ends. This is the most powerful point in the exercise. That gives you an idea of how important Jose Silva feels it is. Here is the formula. You will continue to strive to take part in constructive and creative activities to make this a better world to live in, so that when we move on, we shall have left behind a better world for those who follow. You will consider the whole of humanity, depending on their ages, as fathers or mothers, brothers or sisters, sons or daughters. You are a superior human being. You have greater understanding, compassion, and patience with others. Why it works. Let's take a look at each element of this formula to see why he included it and why the formula works. You will continue to strive. It's important that you make a sincere attempt to do what you were sent here to do. We each have different talents and different levels of ability. As long as you are doing what you are capable of doing, this is what counts. Others may get greater results than you do, but as long as you are doing as much as you can, you are fulfilling your purpose. To take part in constructive and creative activities. How do you know you are doing what you were sent here to do? This is the measure. We are made in the image of the Creator. This means that we should create, not destroy. We should construct, not tear down. To make this a better world to live in. This is the tangible measure of our success. We should always improve conditions on the planet. That which hurts or destroys is wrong. It means that you are going in the wrong direction. When your efforts solve problems and make things better, you are going in the right direction. So that when we move on, we shall have left behind a better world for those who follow. Why would you want to do that? Why improve conditions for others rather than for yourself? This is a statement of unselfishness, of doing something for someone who cannot possibly compensate or repay you in any way. Prosperity does not come through a barter system. When you are doing what you were sent here to do, you will receive everything that you need to help and encourage you to continue to do your job. This is a good topic to meditate on, to reflect on, at level. When we say level, we mean at the alpha level. When Jose Silva was asked about this statement, if the intent was to signify the unselfish attitude that is required, he answered, "If we had not had that attitude, we wouldn't have the Silva system today." Jose Silva's own life offers many examples of his unselfish attitude. He helped all who asked, and never accepted any compensation. After he had developed his system, he offered it to the U.S. government free of charge. He was simply doing his job. You will consider the whole of humanity, depending on their ages, as fathers or mothers, brothers or sisters, sons or daughters. Jose Silva points out that animals protect their own kin, but not others. God, on the other hand, treats all people equally. We were made in the image of God and given a task to do. We were given the ability to take part in constructive and creative activities, just as God does. We were assigned here to be helpers. If we are to help God, we must help God's creatures. Most people have a natural tendency to help their own kin. We can expand that to help everyone. But notice that the relationships we have with our family members vary according to the specific relationship. We show a special respect to our parents. They brought us into this world. They cared for us when we were helpless, guided us the best they knew how. We grew up with our brothers and sisters, shared everything with them, including experiences and memories. No matter how much we fought with them, we always had unconditional love for them, and were always ready to come to their aid or or defense. Our children depend on us. We nurture and guide them. We protect them. We shelter them when necessary, and encourage them to go out into the world when it is time for that. Many people talk about loving humanity, our global family. But notice that we don't love each member of our family the same way. We have different feelings, special feelings for each, depending on our relationship with them. Jose Silva expanded the meaning of loving humanity. When you interact with people older than you, old enough to be your parents, do you show them the respect that parents deserve? Do you treat them the way you would your own parents? When you interact with people your own age, do you have the unconditional love that you have for a brother or sister that allows you to say, I may not like what you are doing, but I love you because I recognize that we both come from the same source, and that source is good? Are you willing to help those who are younger than you the same way you would help your own children? The next time you are involved with a younger person, ask yourself if you are saying to them what you would say to your own child, if you are doing for them what you would do for your own child. This is what is meant by loving humanity. This is godlike behavior. You are a superior human being. We are the most highly evolved life form on the planet. With that superior position comes special responsibility. Does being superior mean that we can exploit whatever we find here on the planet and use it for our own selfish purposes? Or should we imitate the Creator and nurture and protect what we have been given to use? Once you have learned how to center yourself, how to communicate subjectively, how to get help from the other side so that you can do God's will, you have talents and abilities that are superior to those who have not yet done this. You have greater understanding, compassion, and patience with others. Because you're able to enter deep levels of mind and view things from a higher perspective, you have a better understanding of what your task is. From this higher, superior perspective, you are closer to God. You have a desire to correct problems and to help all of God's creation and all of God's creatures to be more productive and successful and happy. You don't get this perspective from the beta level. From the physical level, it seems that when somebody else gets something, then you can't have it. From a higher level, you see that the more you give, the more you receive. This is not something that we can intellectualize, but something that we must live. You also understand that not everyone has developed this kind of understanding yet, and you are patient with them as you help your fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, to express their godlike nature, just as you have done. Creating a paradise. Perhaps it's a big order to live up to all of that. Maybe only a saint can really do it. But those who come the closest are the ones who have the greatest prosperity. They feel good about themselves because they are more godlike and are closer to God. They have great self-confidence because they have a sure sense of purpose that conforms to the reason they were assigned to this planet. This is not something that you develop at beta or at light levels of alpha. When you enter deep levels, you will develop a real understanding and appreciation for these statements. But for them to make a difference in your life, you have to turn them into action. The more active you are, the more godlike you are. Jose Silva had the deep understanding that few people have had, and he was always extremely energetic and active. This is a combination that has made him world famous, that has put the Silva system into more than 100 countries, and has helped millions of people worldwide to change their lives for the better. Even in his 80s, Jose Silva continued to be active, to travel the world, to spread the message and teach his system. He did not do this to accumulate great wealth. He lived in the same modest house in Laredo for 50 years. He had no investments other than his own business. He put most of the money he earned back into the business in order to reach more and more of the people he considered his fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. If you appreciate the benefits that you have received from his system, then it's time now for you to take steps to carry on the most important part of Jose Silva's work. Make this formula a part of your life. Meditate on it. Put it into action. Review it daily at your center until it is as natural to you as breathing. Help make Jose Silva's dream a reality. To convert the planet into a paradise. The 3 faces of you. Repeating so-called affirmations in an attempt to overcome problems and shortcomings can actually do more harm than good. We think that we believe certain things, and we actually do believe certain things, but often these two are not the same. This truth is illustrated by a story about a tightrope walker who walked across a wire that was strung across Niagara Falls. As he walked, he pushed a loaded wheelbarrow in front of him. Being a good entertainer, the tightrope walker put on a good show by acting as if he were going to fall, but catching his balance at the last moment. Finally, he got to the other side as the crowd applauded thunderously. He acknowledged the cheering crowd and took his bows. Then he approached a man in the crowd and asked if he thought that the tightrope walker could cross the falls safely again back to the other side. "Sure you could," the man answered. "Are you certain?" the tightrope walker asked. "Absolutely," the spectator answered. "You are the greatest tightrope walker in the world. I'm sure you can make it back across." "Okay," the tightrope walker said. "Since you are so sure, get in the wheelbarrow and let's go." Resolving the conflict. Often we think that we know what we want and what we believe, only to find that it ain't necessarily so. Dr. J. Wilfred Hahn, longtime consultant and researcher for Jose Silva, developed a model to help us understand how we function. He said that we are really like 3 people. He identified these as Wilfred, Willie, and Will. Wilfred is the scientist, the logical, beta-oriented part of each one of us, who has to have explanations for everything to make sure that everything seems logical. Willie is the voice within, the alpha part of us, the part that deals with feelings and core beliefs and old programming, the part that manages the body. Wilfred and Willie are often in conflict with each other. No matter how much Wilfred may understand something, you also have to get the message through to Willie. To get back to our discussion of affirmations, it may sound perfectly logical to Wilfred to make a statement at the beta level about how much you believe you deserve to be wealthy. But how does Willie interpret this statement? Willie is not going to get in the wheelbarrow. Willie is going to say, "If you believe that you deserve money, why do you need to use affirmations?" A reflex action will take place. Instead of convincing Willie that you really do deserve money, you will reinforce just the opposite thought. Willie will feel that you don't believe that you deserve money. So, how do we resolve the conflict between Wilfred and Willie? According to Dr. Hahn, that takes an act of will. Chapter 3. Create a picture-perfect world. When we forget to use visualization and imagination, it is like not using our minds. Jose Silva. The language of the brain, the language of the mind, and the subjective dimension is not English or Spanish or German. It is visual. Everybody understands pictures. Your brain understands pictures. It may not understand every language in the world, but it does understand pictures. Your mind understands pictures. When you have a problem and you want to correct it mentally, you need to transfer it from the objective dimension, the physical dimension, to the subjective, the mental dimension. You also need to use the correct language. Let's learn how. The universal language. Children learn best by observing. by watching to see what people do. Even if they don't understand what you are telling them, they know what they see. In the physical world, it can be difficult to work with somebody and to help them if you don't speak the same language. Mentally, that's not a problem because the language of the mind is visual, and everybody gets the picture, so to speak. The mental screen, which we will learn about next, is a communications tool. The mental screen allows you to transfer problems from the objective dimension to the subjective dimension so that you can correct them. The mental screen is also the means by which you can communicate in the subjective dimension. You can communicate with your own body and your own inner conscious level. You can communicate with other people, with their minds and their brains and their bodies. You can communicate in this manner with higher intelligence, with our helpers on the other side. And you can get information in this manner with the use of your mental screen, from wherever that information exists. Two different worlds. The objective world of the body and the subjective world of the mind are two different things. So before we go any further, let's define some terms. First, the word see. You see with your eyes. That's the only way to see anything, with your eyes. Whenever you focus your eyes or attempt to focus your eyes, your brain goes to 20 cycles per second. You can use any of your other senses at alpha, but the sense of sight requires your brain to be at beta. Next, the word visualize. You visualize with your mind. To visualize means that you remember what something looks like. In order to remember, that means that you have to have seen it or imagined it before. Visualization is not like seeing. It is not even like dreaming. It's like remembering. Visualization is memory, the memory of what something looks like. You don't use your eyes to visualize. You use your mind. Next, the word imagine. To imagine means to think about what something looks like that you have never experienced before, something you have not seen before, or, for that matter, imagined before. Because you have not seen this thing before, imagining it is a creative process. Let's take an example that uses seeing, visualization, and imagination. Do you remember seeing the dog Lassie on television or in a movie? If not, then recall any dog that you have seen. Do you remember what the dog looked like? What size is this dog? How big? How long was the hair? What color was it? What did its tail look like? Its ears? Remembering what you have seen before is visualization, and you have just visualized a dog that you have seen previously. How many legs did the dog have? 4? Now, can you imagine what the dog would look like if it had 6 legs? Where would the other 2 legs be? At the front, the back, in the middle? Where would they be? Imagine what that would look like. Now, you have just used imagination to create a mental picture of something that you have never seen or imagined before. It's very simple. You can do it with your eyes open or closed. You can do it at beta or at alpha. In order to imagine things and have them manifest in the physical world, your visualization and imagination must be at alpha. For now, it's easiest for you to do this with your eyes closed, because you shut out distractions. Later, with practice, you can learn how to function at alpha with your eyes open and unfocused. Now, if you go back and recall the dog with 6 legs that you imagined, and recall what the dog looks like, and where the 2 extra legs are, the front, the back, the middle, then you are visualizing, because you are recalling what something looks like that you imagined previously. A few people have very vivid mental images when they do this. Most people have some kind of mental image. Some of us simply know what the dog would look like. These people might say that they imagine what the mental image would look like. The good news is, that's all that is required to be successful in your functioning in the subjective dimension. You want to get accustomed to thinking about what things look like. Some people use words to think things through. Others use feelings. These are all good and are important. It's also important, especially for mental functioning in the subjective dimension, that you think visually as well. This is very important when you use a programming technique like the 3 scenes technique, which you will learn in the next chapter. It's important because you must first visualize the problem that you need to correct, and then you imagine the problem corrected. You use imagination to create the end result that you want to manifest in the physical world. Would you like a technique to help you develop and improve your ability to visualize and imagine on your mental screen? We have a technique to do that. As an added bonus, this same technique will also help to improve your memory. You receive 2 benefits for the price of 1. First, let's define the mental screen and show you how to locate it. Your mental screen. Your mental screen can be like a surround movie screen or a giant 360-degree computer screen. Your mental screen will be upwards and about 30 feet away from you. The mental screen is about 20 degrees above your horizontal level of sight. Like when you are in a theater, and it can be all around you. You can project and detect images on the screen behind you, off to the sides, if you need to. You want your mental screen to be above the horizontal plane of sight. You want to physically turn your eyes up slightly. Not so much that you are uncomfortable, but definitely upwards. This helps to produce more alpha rhythm in the brain. Nobody knows why for sure, but it does. It will help you stay in alpha while you are using your visualization and imagination to identify problems and create solutions. To locate your mental screen, begin with your eyes closed. Turn slightly upward from the horizontal plane of sight. At an angle of approximately 20 degrees. The area that you perceive with your mind is your mental screen. Without using your eyelids as screens, sense your mental screen to be out, away from your body. To improve the use of your mental screen, project images or mental pictures onto the screen, especially images having color. Concentrate on mentally sensing and visualizing true color. So you do this with your eyes closed and turned slightly upward, and you imagine the screen to be out and away from you. This is where you are going to project mental imagery or to detect something when you visualize on your mental screen. So to transmit something, you project it to your mental screen. To detect it, you create a mental image on your mental screen. Improving visualization, imagination, clairvoyance, and memory. One excellent way to improve the use of your mental screen is to learn techniques to improve your memory. Using visualization, imagination, and association makes it easier to remember things. Whenever you need to remember something, remember what it looks like. We tend to remember things that we associate with having a good time. Most people can remember great birthday presents they received when they were young, or special events like their first date or their senior prom. Your brain has the capacity to remember a great deal. Scientists say, and it has become a cliché, that the human brain is the most highly structured and complex object in the universe. You'll be amazed at what it is capable of, at what you are capable of. Our objective is not to give you a memory course. You can do that on your own with any of the excellent books by Harry Lorraine or others who use a system like the memory peg system, which relies on visualization and imagination. How words can help you. Words can often help you to create better mental pictures. You can use words to describe a scene to yourself in order to help you picture it mentally. For instance, think of a relative or a friend that you know very well and think of what their face looks like. It might help you to describe to yourself what their hair looks like, their forehead, the color of their skin, their eyes, their nose, cheeks, the character of their face. If you are visualizing a project that you are working on, it might help you to imagine that you are discussing the project with someone, explaining how to go about doing it. This can help you to create a detailed mental picture of it. Alpha Break. Here's a special technique that Jose Silva developed to help you improve your visualization and imagination. You can do this at beta. It is even more effective when you do it at the alpha level. To help you develop and enhance the faculty of controlled daydreaming, a technique designed to enable you to use your daydreaming faculties for constructive purposes, recall a pleasant, relaxing daydream or an event you may have experienced in the past. Make an effort to re-experience the pleasant feelings associated with this dream or event and all of the visual components. Take your time for this. Once you have selected the dream or event, modify and change it in as many ways as you can, employing changes in colors, characters, situations, structures, and end results. I will give you time for this. In succeeding practice sessions, you may choose to employ this daydreaming mechanism in more practical applications, such as programming successful end results. You may utilize this technique during the day, in your leisure time, with your eyes open, by employing the natural mechanism of a daydream state, which is commonly observed in people who are daydreaming. To use this mechanism, stare into your environment wherever you desire, defocusing your vision in the process. That is, staring but not focusing your eyesight on anything in particular. Once you have activated this mechanism, mentally picture your programming objective in terms of a sequence or series of events, starting by first visualizing the problem, then visualizing or imagining the application of corrective effects, and lastly, by imagining the desired end results, the solution. Visualization and imagination. Here are transcripts of recordings we made of Jose Silva at an instructor training session. Visualization is a previous impression, impressed on your brain or mind. It is a receiving, detecting mechanism. We can detect with the left brain hemisphere. We can detect with the right brain hemisphere. In other words, in order to perceive it with the left hemisphere, it must exist. Whether somebody created something, or it is the sense of sight, then you make an impression on your brain. The sense of sight works like a camera. It makes a negative and impresses it on your brain, your left brain, and a duplicate is transferred to the right brain. Receiving information is energy. Visualization is the receiver. Imagination is the transmitter. You can also visualize with your right hemisphere, but in this case you can visualize what has been impressed on somebody else's brain. This is why, if a person is injured 1,000 miles away, and you know about that person, and you want to know how seriously hurt she is or injured, you go to your level, turn on your intercom, your right brain, and the right brain functions on a different band, like FM does, not AM. And you are tuning into his brain and getting information from his brain and transferring it to yours. Then you will know what happened to him, because everything that has happened to him has been recorded on his brain already. Now, usually all of this becomes a lot easier if the intention is to help the individual to solve his problem, not just know. This doesn't go far enough just to know. Eventually you will not receive anything if you are just trying to have fun by wanting to know for no purpose whatsoever. Your purpose is to follow through, to help this individual to correct his problem, solve his problem, keep him from suffering. That's the main purpose. So we say the brain, the mind, left brain, right brain, were created to detect information that we can consider, that we don't want, and make a correction. So information, if we cannot perceive it with the left, we can perceive it with the right. But we must follow through with the intention of helping correct the problem, because that's all we are here for. We were sent to planet Earth to correct problems that cause people to suffer, to make this planet a better place to live. That's it. No other use. Now we are using it to steal from others, to hurt others, to kill others, and it's wrong, because it is all left brain. If they had developed the right brain, they wouldn't even have attempted it, because they would have become spiritual. They would have become fully developed human beings. A person who uses only the left brain hemisphere cannot fully evolve into becoming a human being. Just keep in mind that a human being is not one who looks like one. It is one who acts like one. To be considered a human being, you must participate, take part in humanitarian acts. Then you have qualified and passed the test to be considered a human being. If you have not taken part in humanitarian acts, you have not yet been in a position to be considered a human being. You have not been tested, in other words. Now everybody knows the difference between visualization and imagination. Keep in mind that we visualize and imagine with the left, and we visualize and imagine with the right. Imagination with the left is fantasy, or rearranging what exists so it will serve a better something, whatever that is. What you are doing is altering what exists, modifying it, to get better results out of it. That is left brain imagination. Right brain imagination is creating something that has never happened, has not occurred yet. That is the beginning of creation, the beginning of inventions, the beginning of discoveries. That happens for the first time. That's right brain imagination. Visualization means the same thing, detecting information. One hemisphere detects information in the objective world, and the other, right brain, detects information in the subjective world. Subjective remembering can be considered spiritual, non-physical, immaterial, but energetic. In religion, it is called spiritual. Why turn the eyes up 20 degrees? Why 20 degrees? Because it has been found that when you turn your eyes up 20 degrees relative to your face, you have a stronger production of alpha. Nobody knows why. It is believed that when the eyes were becoming evolved in your body, they were up before they were fully evolved. Then they came down so you could see with them. We evolved from delta to theta to alpha to beta. So we must have been evolving alpha while the eyes were turned up, before we had a full, complete eye to see with. So finally, when we got to beta, it came down to see with. Turned up, it is like going back to alpha again. That has been proven scientifically. Turn eyes up, more alpha. It's like a switch. So, for us, it is better to turn them up in order to help us to hold on to alpha. The problem is, in most cases, not finding alpha, but staying on alpha for a longer period of time. This helps us to lock in on alpha, helps us stay on it, like the alpha sound. Chapter 4. Program yourself for success. We don't want to gain at somebody else's loss. We want to gain while helping the other person to also gain. Jose Silva. In the introduction, we mentioned that we don't solve problems by working on the problems. That is, because we move in the direction of our dominant thoughts. Everything begins with a thought. Mind guides brain, and brain guides body. That doesn't mean that you should pretend that a problem doesn't exist. Jose Silva advised that in order to solve a problem, you must, first, be aware that the problem exists. Then, know the correct technique to apply to solve the problem, and how to apply the technique correctly. Jose Silva developed a technique to do those things. When you apply the technique correctly, the way he taught us to apply it, then the majority of your thoughts will be about the solution, not the problem. In fact, we do away with the problem. He said that once you have a plan and you are working your plan, then it isn't a problem anymore. It is a project. That is how we go beyond the problem to the solution. If it is a very big project, so big that it might take some time to accomplish, then concentrate on benchmarks along the way. If the problem is that you can't walk and you want to be able to run a marathon, then concentrate on what you want to do in the next week or two. 3 days from now, if you can walk a little farther than before, that is a great indication that you might be doing the right thing. So, keep doing it, and keep looking for more indications of how to proceed. Advice about learning new techniques. Here's something to keep in mind whenever you are learning something new. It is best not to mix systems together. If you use some type of yoga meditation to get to level, for instance, it might not work for you in this context. It might be great for the goals that they have in yoga, but it won't necessarily get you to the precise level that is required for the Silva techniques to work for you. 3 short steps to success. After you learn to enter the alpha level, the most valuable tools you have are visualization and imagination. Use them to solve problems whenever you can, no matter whose problems they are, and no matter whether you receive any benefit for yourself or not. Jose Silva's 3 scenes technique is a mental technique you can apply at the alpha level to identify and analyze the problem. Then go beyond the problem all the way to the solution, the desired end result. Here is the formula for the 3 scenes technique. The 3 scenes technique. Go to your center with the 3-to-1 method. The 3-to-1 method takes advantage of the conditioned responses that you developed in the Silva centering exercise. Here is how you do it. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And mentally repeat and visualize the number 3, 3 times. You have already associated the number 3 with physical relaxation, so your body will relax when you do this. Take another deep breath, and while exhaling, mentally repeat and visualize the number 2, 3 times. In the Silva centering exercise, you related the number 2 to mental relaxation. When you relax physically and mentally, your brain frequency will lower to the alpha level. Take another deep breath, and while exhaling, mentally repeat and visualize the number 1, 3 times, and you are at level 1, the alpha level, which is at the center of the brain frequency spectrum and functions at the midbrain area in the center of your brain. We will call this your center. Once you are at your center, create and project into your mental screen, directly in front of you, a scene of the problem. You learned how to locate your mental screen in Chapter 3. Recall details of what the problem looks like in this first scene, directly in front of you. Make a good study of the problem, so that you are completely aware of all aspects of it. If you have programmed in this manner previously for this particular project, then take into account any changes that have taken place since your most recent programming session. After making a good study of the problem, of the existing situation, then shift your awareness to your left, approximately 15 degrees. In the second scene, to the left of the first scene, towards your left, mentally picture yourself taking action and doing something to correct the problem, and imagine the correction beginning to take place. Now in the third scene, another 15 degrees farther to the left, to your left, create and project an image of the solution. Imagine many people benefiting from the solution to this problem. The more people who benefit, the better. Any time in the future when you think of this project, visualize the image that you created of the solution in the third scene. Program the future in the past. Everything begins with a thought. First, you think a thing, then you do it. With the three scenes technique, we create the solution in the subjective, non-physical world of the mind dimension. It is completed in the subjective dimension. The problem has been solved, and we have a solution. There is no time or space in the subjective dimension. However, in the physical world we deal with time and space, so it may take longer for the solution to appear in the physical world. We have a solution in the world of the mind, and we'll see it soon in the world of the body. Therefore, Jose Silva said that we should program in the future in a past tense sense. When you have your eyes open at beta, you might see that the problem still exists in the physical world. When that happens, whenever you happen to think of the project, immediately recall the image that you created of the solution in the third scene. The more confident that you are that you have already created the solution, and that therefore the solution already exists, the sooner you will see the solution in the physical world. How do you develop that confidence? By having successes. Every time you have a success, your belief in the technique and how you apply it to achieve results will increase. We'll talk more about faith in Chapter 11. Faith is composed of three elements: desire, belief, and expectation, or hope. The more serious the problem is, the more desire you will have. The more people who will benefit, the more desire you will have. Belief comes from success, as we just mentioned. Expectation, or hope, is the solution that you created in the third scene. Desire pushes you to take action. The more you think about the benefits of the solution, the more desire you have. Belief gives you confidence and sustains you. Hope is the target. It keeps you focused on the solution rather than the problem. Why we place the future on the left. If you are wondering why we go from right to left when moving into the future, Mr. Silva observed that phenomenon in his research and went on to verify that images, mental images, not physical ones, of the future came from the left, while images of the past came from the right. During his research, Mr. Silva used to age regress the research subjects, most of whom were children. He would take them back to an earlier time in their lives and even do prenatal age regression, whereby he would take them back, mentally, to a time before they were born and see what kind of stories they would tell him. He found that he could regress the subjects back hundreds of years through many different lifetimes. That does not necessarily prove the idea of reincarnation. It only proves that they could detect information. He began to notice that when he would move the children back and forward in time very rapidly, they would lean to one side or the other. For instance, he might get them to level, he used hypnosis back then, and ask them to go back 100 years, then 200 years, then 300 years. When he did this, they would lean to the side. So he asked them why. They said that the pictures, the mental images, were moving by very rapidly. It was as if they were sitting on a bus, and it would accelerate so fast that it would cause their body to lean to the side. They said that the images of the past would come from the right, and the images of the future from the left. Being a curious scientist, Silva wanted a theory to explain this. It seemed to him that we were getting out of the physical dimension and into the spiritual dimension. He decided that if the Earth, representing the physical dimension, was spinning toward the east, then the future would be to the east. So he tried facing east while at his level, but that didn't work. He could not move around in time the way he wanted to. Here is the way he explained it. Imagine you're looking at the Earth. The North Pole is to the top, the South Pole to the bottom. The Earth is turning towards the east, which means that it is turning to the right. Now, let us do this. Let us imagine that the physical dimension is a train that is going from left to right, towards the east. Imagine that you are looking at it from above. Now, if you get off the train to the left side, the north side of the train, and you look at the future, that is, you look in the direction that the train is going in, you will not see where the train is going. In order to see the train so that you can see where it is going and where it has been, you have to turn 90 degrees and face south, towards the train. Now, if you, the subject, look to the left, you can see where the train is going. If you look to the right, you can see where the train has been. I am talking about the subject looking to his or her left or right. Suppose you decide you want to get off the other side of the train, the side towards the south. You cannot get off that side because there are no doors over there. If you will think about it, or if you will get a piece of paper and draw a globe, you can see how this works. If the Earth represents the physical dimension, and you exit the Earth towards the north, go out over the North Pole, into the subjective dimension, and you turn and look back towards the Earth, then the Earth is turning toward your left, to the future. If you look to your right, you will see where it has been, the past. It does not matter where we are facing physically. This applies to the subjective mental dimension, and when you use the three scenes technique, it works automatically. In the physical dimension, Mr. Silva explained, the past is behind us, the present is our present position, and the future is in front of us. In the subjective mental dimension, the past is to your right, the present is in front of you, and the future is to your left. That is why, in the three scenes technique, we visualize the problem, the existing situation, in front of us, and imagine and visualize the solution in an image to our left. Programming for other people. There are many other ways to use the three scenes technique. You can use it for self-programming, to help you perform better, as well as for better health and well-being. Once you have developed and tested your ESP, which you can do in our book titled Silva Ultramind Systems ESP for Business Success, published by G&D Media, you can use the three scenes technique to program for other people in order to help them overcome problems and accomplish their tasks. You can use the three scenes technique to program a glass of water so that it can be used for healing or for other purposes. Get an ordinary water glass. Fill it with water and hold it with the fingers of both hands. Spread your fingers apart, and don't let the fingers of your right hand touch the fingers of your left hand. Energy from your right hand will flow through the water and be collected by the palm of your left hand. Enter your level and use the three scenes technique to program for whatever you need. Graduates have reported that they have programmed water to help loved ones to stop drinking, lose weight, and reach other important goals. Silva graduates who were far away from a sick relative report that they programmed a Get Well card and mailed it to their loved ones. Business people tell us that they program objects to help them make sales and better negotiations. You can learn to do all these things and even more when you develop your ability to project your mind and use your ESP, as you can learn in Silva Ultramind ESP System for Business Success. Some programming tips. When we say to make a good study of the problem, this means we should observe the details. Once you program to correct the problem, you don't go back to the problem image. Whenever you think of the problem, which we will call a project from now on, immediately visualize the solution image you have created in the third scene. When you program, look for objective feedback, as something in the physical world that you can see with your eyes, to let you know what effect your programming is having. We recommend that you program in such a way that you would expect something to happen within the next few days. If you see improvement, then you know to keep on programming the way you have been doing. If the situation gets worse, then go to your center and analyze what happened. You might realize that you should alter your programming. If there isn't any change after 3 days, then try anything you can think of to see if you can start making progress. Sometimes you need to program more. Sometimes you need to program less. The more desire you have, the better. How many reasons do you have for wanting to achieve this goal, or correct this problem? Perhaps there are 5 benefits that you can think of. Go to your center and think about it again. You might come up with 5 more benefits. Then you'll have twice as much motivation. The bigger your project is, Jose Silva told us, the more help you will get from higher intelligence. What I mean by bigger, he explained, is how many people will benefit. If you are just programming something for yourself only, then you are on your own. You are not going to get any help. But if your programming will benefit many people, then you will get help. The more people who will benefit, the more help you will get. Guidance from Jose Silva. Here is some more advice from Jose Silva, based on his 55 years of research and experience in this field. Keep your programming in the possibility area. This does not mean to limit yourself, but if you program for something that you don't believe deep inside, that you can achieve, there is little chance that you will achieve it, at least not any time soon. Remember that we do not control other people. If somebody wants to drink and get drunk, they are going to drink and get drunk. If a person wants to be with somebody else, it is a waste of time to program for that person to be with you. You can program that a person will have a desire to change, to stop drinking, for instance. Once the person desires enough, they will take the necessary steps to bring it about. Regarding setting time limits, if you could prophesy 100%, we could do that. But nobody can prophesy 100%. Get the problem resolved regardless of when it happens. We cannot obligate or force the intelligence that's guiding us to do what we think we should do. It does it the way it thinks it should. If you are asking for money, for instance, please let me win the lottery, let the money come any way it needs to come. Higher intelligence knows how to get it to you. Don't be specific or program that it should come to you in a specific way. Let it come anyway, as long as you get it. That's what counts. We can't boss higher intelligence around to do it the way we think, at the time we want it. Higher intelligence will do it when it is the best thing to do, at the right time. We don't know about that. We may think we do. It is a step forward and a step backwards. That's part of it. On your way towards your goal, if you find a problem and you solve the problem, it places you on the path towards your goal. But if, after this, you come across another problem, and if this second problem is more difficult than the first one, you start taking note of this. You solve that one too. You continue going in the same direction towards your goal, and if the third problem is more difficult than the second one, the system is telling you that this is not the direction to go. But if the second problem is easier than the first one, and the third one is easier than the second one, then the system is telling you to go ahead, full speed ahead. You are on the right track. Use your mind like this. You always must be aware of those conditions taking place while you are doing your thing, whatever that is. Program for the best thing for everyone concerned. Always consider that the benefits are for more than just you. If it is only me, and you don't care about anyone else, big question mark. And whenever you ask, remember, ask for no more than what you need, but do ask for no less than what you need. That's good enough. What you need means, what plans do you have? Are they big plans? If so, you need something big. If they are little plans, you need something little. Can you program to get a Rolls-Royce? Sometimes a person will ask if you can program for a Rolls-Royce. This is in the possibility area. But you see, we're not going to get help from the other side when we want something like this. Only for me. But if I say, I want this vehicle that we can use, we, not just me, because there is a need for something like this, and it's within the possibility area, and I don't have the means, I may then get the other side to help me. The other side will only help me when I am asking for something that is needed to improve conditions on planet Earth. As we said, they are not going to help me if I want another $1 million, when I already have $1 million, when I want a Rolls-Royce, when I have a Rolls-Royce already, when I want a girlfriend, when I already have a wife. Some people ask for something like this. Higher intelligence is not going to help you. You are on your own. If you make a mistake, you are going to suffer for it. You don't get help from the other side. You only get help from the other side when your intentions are to help improve conditions on the planet for more than yourself, not just yourself. If you only consider me, you have to do it on your own. If it is for us, if whatever you do is going to help more than just you, then you get help. The more you are going to help, the more help you get for it. So, what your needs will be depends on how big your plans are. That's what your needs will be. Use your successes to bring about more success. Go to Alpha when you have succeeded. Go to Alpha and strengthen the feeling of success when you succeeded, the way you succeeded. Go over whatever you did when you were successful in order to reinforce it. That's a good foundation to keep on succeeding. We used to say, you reach success with a ladder of failures. That's wrong. We reach greater successes with a ladder of lesser successes. Always, your foundation should be success, not failure. So, reinforce your successes to make them appear more frequently and stronger from here on. Reinforce at Alpha your experiences of having succeeded. Nobody will know the feeling of success until you succeed. There is no way to explain to anybody how it feels to succeed. It is a very unusual feeling when you succeed. Wisdom is the accumulation of feelings of success. That's wisdom. Accumulation of feelings of success.